Welcome to The Growth of a Learner, From Sounds to Selfhood, a journey through childhood development guided by Robert Feldman's research. Language is more than a tool for communication. It's the foundation of thought, identity, and learning. It shapes how children understand themselves and the world around them, evolving alongside their cognitive and emotional development. In this slideshow, we trace the journey of a learner from conception to adolescence, using the developmental framework outlined by psychologist Robert Feldman in his book Child Development. Feldman's work offers insight into the physical, cognitive, emotional, and social changes that occur across childhood and adolescence. As a future English teacher, I believe that understanding how students grow and learn allows us to teach with greater empathy, purpose, and impact. Though we often think of learning as beginning after birth, Feldman reminds us that development starts in the womb. During the prenatal period, the brain undergoes significant growth. By the third trimester, fetuses can hear and respond to rhythmic sounds and voices, which is a process known as prenatal auditory learning. Feldman highlights that early exposure to language patterns can influence postnatal recognition of speech and bonding. The foundations of sensory processing and neural architecture are already forming, creating the groundwork for memory, attention, and emotional regulation, all essential for future learning. In infancy, learning and language unfold rapidly. Feldman identifies this as the sensory motor stage, a concept introduced by developmental psychologist Jean Piaget to describe the phase when infants learn through sensory experiences and motor activities. Language starts with cooing, babbling, and eventually hollow phrases, which are single words that express whole ideas like milk or ball. Social interaction is key. Caregivers instinctively use infant-directed speech, a slower, higher-pitched, emotionally rich tone that captures infants' attention and supports phoneme recognition. Feldman emphasizes how secure attachment provides emotional safety, which is foundational for exploration and early cognitive development. Through interaction, infants begin to learn the back and forth rhythm of communication, forming the earliest pieces of identity. Early childhood is a time of explosive growth in language and cognition. Feldman describes this as a period of language explosion, when vocabulary expands rapidly, often up to 14,000 words by age 6. This aligns with Piaget's preoperational stage, where symbolic thought emerges, enabling children to use words and images to represent the world. Feldman also emphasizes private speech, a self-guiding tool that helps children plan and regulate behavior. Vygotsky's sociocultural theory becomes central here. Learning is mediated by others, especially through scaffolding within the zone of proximal development. In this stage, children form a stronger sense of self through language. They tell stories, ask questions, and begin to express emotions in words. Their play becomes a rich space for cognitive and social growth. Middle childhood is marked by growing independence and expanding academic ability. Robert Feldman describes this as a concrete operational stage, a term developed by Jean Piaget to characterize the period when children begin to think logically about concrete events and understand concepts like conservation and classification. They develop metalinguistic awareness. This is the ability to think about language itself. It's essential for grammar, reading comprehension, and wordplay. Erickson's stage of industry versus inferiority emerges. Children compare themselves to peers and begin forming academic self-concepts. Feldman notes how success in school builds confidence, while repeated struggles may damage motivation. Language now becomes a tool not just for play, but for learning content, expressing ideas, and building friendships. A supportive learning environment helps shape both the mind and the self. In adolescence, learning takes on a deeper, more reflective quality. Robert Feldman connects the stage to formal operational thought, a concept developed by Jean Piaget to describe the ability to think abstractly, reason hypothetically, and engage in metacognition. Teens use language to argue, persuade, and explore philosophical or moral questions. Feldman explains how this cognitive growth supports identity formation, the key developmental task Erikson describes as identity versus role confusion. Through journals, essays, and social conversations, adolescents use language to ask, "Who am I?" Adolescent egocentrism, including the imaginary audience and personal fable, shapes how they see themselves in the world. Learning becomes tied to meaning making. For many teens, English class becomes a safe space to express vulnerability, explore identity, and sharpen voice. Not all learners follow the same developmental path, and that's not a deficit, but a difference. Feldman emphasizes that children with disabilities experience growth through unique trajectories shaped by their individual needs, strengths, and environments. Whether a child faces challenges in speech, mobility, attention, or learning, development still unfolds. Sometimes it's at a different pace or through alternate routes, but with the appropriate support, children with disabilities can thrive cognitively, emotionally, and socially. Feldman highlights the importance of early intervention, inclusive practices, and adaptive teaching strategies that honor neurodiversity. As educators, it's our responsibility to recognize these multiple paths of growth and provide a learning environment that supports access, agency, and belonging for every child. Feldman reminds us that development happens in context. As educators, we become part of that context. Through scaffolding, modeling, and providing access to the zone of proximal development, we can nurture a child's cognitive and emotional growth. We are not just teaching grammar or essays, we're helping students find their voice. Knowing a student's developmental stage allows us to tailor instruction, build motivation, and respond to individual needs. As a future English teacher, I hope to create a classroom that supports exploration, honors identity, and celebrates growth, not just academic, but human. From a baby babbling to a teen writing about the world, the development of language is the development of self. Feldman's work shows us how learning is a dynamic, lifelong process, shaped by relationships, culture, biology, and experience. As learners grow, they don't just acquire skills, they construct identity. And as educators, we have the privilege of witnessing and supporting that becoming, one word at a time. This slideshow is based on Child Development by Robert Feldman, created by me, Kata Irvin. This is for my Psychology 245 class for Child Development from spring 2025. Thank you.